talk. Halid is a pioneer in seed nutrition. He has been involved in this seed nutrition for about 10 years. And he's going to give a talk on, how to boost your immunity against COVID-19. Now, it's very important for us to know that, at the moment, in spite of all the events and over the last few months, and all the scientists working very hard, there's still no vaccine for COVID-19. There's still no vaccine. So how do we protect ourselves? So it's also important to know that even though there's a vaccine, within there, I can hear a lot of sound disturbing behind. Even though there's a vaccine available tomorrow, do you want to be the guinea pig? I don't know whether if you can hear me or not. I can hear a lot of sound. Can you mute everybody, Kelvin?
Yeah, I'm doing now.
Sorry, for the noise. So what I'm trying to say that even if there's a vaccine tomorrow, do you want to be the guinea pig? For me, I do not want. I do not like to be the guinea pig, even the vaccine is available tomorrow. Because when the vaccine, if a vaccine start, if the vaccine is going to be introduced immediately tomorrow, say, there will always be a lot of side effects. Side effects that we may not be aware of. So this is something that we have to be very careful to take note. And I know a lot of you are all wearing masks. Can the mask really protect you? The truth is, the mask can only reduce the viral load, can mitigate the effects of the virus. That means instead of getting the virus straight to your face, you may not, you say 100% to you, you may get maybe 20%. So what do? You need to boost your immunity to protect yourself against this virus COVID-19. So now I will leave it to Halid now to start his talk. Why it's so important? How do you boost your immunity? So this comes to immunity now. It's come to the topic of how do you boost your immunity to protect yourself. So I will now pass it to Halid now to present his talk.
All right, guys. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you have to be louder.
Okay, maybe it's my mic. Okay, what about now? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, better.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Mr. Luke. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you everyone for joining today. I'm just going to share a few tips that I hope will be useful for all of you during this COVID-19 pandemic time. So we can boost our immunity and hopefully have a better chance of avoiding the virus, or at least reducing the damage done to our bodies. Okay, so I'm gonna share our screen. If you guys cannot see, let me know. Yeah. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, great. So just a little bit information about me. I'm a life coach. I'm also a wellness coach, and I believe that we should have a proactive approach to taking care of our bodies, our health, and we shouldn't wait for things to go downhill before we start doing something about it. Okay, so really important part just to share is anything that I share today on this webinar should not be taken as a medical advice. So if you have any sort of symptom or sign of COVID-19, I would recommend you consult with your own healthcare professional regarding these symptoms. Okay, on to the actual presentation. So what actually is our immune system? Anyone know? Anyone want to give a guess? Wow, everyone's so quiet. Okay, so the immune system is actually a mix of our cells, our organs, and different chemicals that can actually help our body to fight against infection, to defend itself. So the most important parts of our immune system are actually our white blood cells. And there's quite a few types of white blood cells. We also have antibodies, which help our body remember the past invaders. We also have the complement system, which is something that helps the antibodies work. You got the lymphatic system, the spleen, the thymus, and the bone marrow. All of this is also important parts of the immune system, but I won't go into detail today. We'll just focus on the simple things, the simple actions that we can do to help our bodies become stronger, our immune system to become stronger. So we're going to look at 3 key areas today. First one is to manage your stress levels. Number 2 is daily exercise. And number 3 is proper nutrition. And I get that, I've heard this before, someone told me this already, or, it's on the news, why am I repeating this? So actually, I want to go into a little bit more detail about what you can do regarding each of these areas. And at the end, if anyone has any extra tips that they are using right now or any useful information, please share with us as well. Okay, so we'll look at the first one, which is managing your stress levels. So why is it important that we manage our stress levels? Actually, our immune system is really closely tied to our stress levels. So it's actually managed by some hormone called cortisol. Right? And when it gets too high, when the cortisol level is too high, when we get too stressed, maybe something at work or family or something, then our immune system also suffers, right? And this also leads to some other issues like stress eating. And of course, everyone knows if you stress eat, that leads to more problems, right? So what can we do about managing our stress levels? So the first one, the easiest one to look at is getting proper sleep, getting enough uninterrupted sleep. And this includes your rapid eye movement periods. So these periods of sleep are actually when our body is actually able to rest fully, where we wake up feeling good and not feeling like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed, I need like 2 more hours of sleep. That's the sign of poor quality sleep. So here are some tips I can share to look at how we can get better and more quality sleep. Number 1, really, really simple, but something that most of us don't do is to set a daily time when we sleep and also when we wake up. When we have this habit, a specific time, then our body also gets used to this time. It's not so hard, when you already see your clock, it says 10 o'clock, I need to get in bed. After a while, it becomes a habit. It's not like, oh, it's 10 o'clock, let me check my WhatsApp, let me check my social media, right? These things can keep us awake, and then the next morning we feel like crap because we didn't sleep on time, and then we wake up feeling terrible, right? The second thing we can do is to actually turn on the blue light filter on your phone and your tablets after sunset. So most of our modern phones nowadays actually have a setting for the blue light filter. And what's important about the blue light filter is it actually it's related to our pineal gland. So this is a part of our body which actually gives us the hormone melatonin. And this hormone melatonin is telling our body that it's time to sleep, And if we don't have enough of this hormone, then it's hard for us to go to sleep. We feel restless. So some people actually supplement using the supplement. They actually eat the supplement melatonin. But one easier way, one shortcut is actually to just filter out the blue light from your screens using the setting. It's really simple. Most modern phones have this setting. Okay, the next tip I can share is to stop looking at your screens, even if you have the blue light filter on, at least 1 hour before sleeping. So even if you turn off the blue light in your screens, your brain is still awake because of the light. So what we can do is maybe read a book, have a shower, something relaxing. Get into the pattern of wanting to sleep. Because for some of us, I know sometimes, even myself, I will find it hard to sleep, just because I'm doing so many things before I rest, and most of it is related to my phone or WhatsApp or something lah. So if we can get into the habit of not doing these things before sleep, then it gives our brains more time to relax, to chill out lah. Okay. The next tip is set electronic devices at least 2 meters away from our bed and turn off the Wi-Fi router before going to bed. So I think you're wondering, like, oh, why are you doing this? Why is it necessary? So much trouble. I have to turn on the Wi-Fi in the morning, or I need my phone to turn on the alarm or that kind of things. But this is actually more of the same thing, which we're training our body that we're going to go to sleep, and we can't do things that don't make us sleep, like social media or WhatsApp, or emails. All of these things distract us. They keep us awake, and it doesn't help our sleep. So by doing this, we can actually create a healthy habit of going to sleep without any distractions. Okay. The last tip I can share is cutting off drinking caffeine after 2 p.m. daily. So this doesn't just include coffee. Other things have caffeine. Other things have stimulants like green tea, even chocolate. All these things can stimulate us. So what I would recommend is for us to stop taking these stimulants at least before 2 p.m. lah. Otherwise, we're going to find it hard to sleep. Yeah, in the morning is fine lah. Any questions so far? Anyone unclear about anything? Please don't hesitate to ask. Okay. The next tip is to actually practice daily meditation. So really, really simple meditation is about noticing your thoughts, noticing your breathing. It doesn't have to be long, can be just 5 minutes of practice every day. So this act of meditation, being mindful, like just paying attention to what you're doing, even if it's like washing the dishes, playing with your kids, anything that requires attention. If we put our effort into these things daily, then this can actually help us manage our stress better, right? And in turn, that will give our immune systems a better chance to fight off things like COVID-19. If you haven't done meditation before, I would recommend trying out something called the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. So you can find that on Google Play and also the Apple Store. Okay, so next part is really important, which is daily exercise. So we're looking at 20 minutes of moderate intensity exercise. So for me, there's a few ways to define what is moderate intensity. But the easiest way for me is you're sweating, you're exerting, you're doing exercise that basically gets your heart rate above the average for at least 20 minutes, right? It doesn't have to be high intensity exercise. It can be something simple as jogging. I know some of us are still in lockdown. So maybe the first one, which is get outdoors, we can't do, right? But if you can, go hiking, go running, that kind of stuff. But if you're stuck indoors, you can still do simple things like exercising with your family, you can do skipping, you can do yoga, all these kinds of things. Or even simple things like chores, right? Household chores that require you to get physical. You can do vacuuming, you can do rearranging the furniture, washing the car, all these things are useful. And something else that I know is popular lately during the pandemic is to do online exercise. There's so many online classes. You can even go to YouTube and just try out something new. This part is one of the most important parts, which is proper nutrition. Food can either be medicine or it can be poison, depending on what we eat, how much we eat, when we eat. So this part, I will go into looking at the important minerals and vitamins that our bodies need to boost our immune system. And where I'm also going to share a few of the foods that will contain these vitamins and minerals. But before that, a really simple tip is to avoid food and drinks that are high in sugar and carbohydrates. And why do we do this? It's because if we eat foods that are high in sugar and carbs too often, what can happen is our sensitivity to insulin is lowered. So most of us have heard about insulin, but we don't actually know what it means. So insulin is actually a hormone that tells our body that we need to store the sugar in our muscles and liver. And if it's not sensitive, after a while, your body stops responding, and then the sugar just sticks around in your bloodstream. And this is one of the things that is unhealthy, right? It's one of the precursors to type 2 diabetes. Even having a sugar level of 7, these things are already a bad sign, right? And type 2 diabetes is something that we can prevent, just like other chronic diseases. There was actually a recent study that showed people with type 2 diabetes have an increased risk of contracting or dying of the COVID-19 virus. So it's as simple as just, to reduce our chance of getting COVID, or even to reduce the damage done by COVID, all I have to do is change our diet just a little bit. No more sugary drinks, not too much carb foods like rice, noodles, bread. I still can eat but not too much, right? Okay, so let's move on to the part about actually looking at what is healthy, right? And that's veggies and healthy fats. So when we eat whole foods, foods that haven't been processed, foods that are natural, then our bodies are able to absorb these vitamins, these nutrients, and it's easier to use compared to supplements. Supplements are more about giving your body what you don't have already, right? But it's better if you eat it directly, if you eat it from the food itself. And this, I'm not going to tell you, or you need to eat 2 avocados a day and 5 grapes, really specific, right? What you want to do is to spread it out. Have a diet where you have different colors, different tastes, different varieties of fruits and vegetables and meats, so at least your body is able to absorb different nutrients. Okay, so let's look at the important vitamins and minerals. Number 1 is vitamin A, which we get from beta carotene. So vitamin A is useful for our bodies because it is anti-inflammatory and it helps our body respond to viruses. The thing about vitamin A is that it's also fat soluble, meaning that if you eat foods that are high in healthy fats, then you will be able to absorb more of vitamin A. So the thing about some vitamins is that they're not so bioavailable. Bioavailable means that just because you eat it, it is not absorbed into your body. Some vitamins need to be absorbed by water, or some absorbed by fat, right? And some of them are really hard to absorb. So just because you eat a lot of this supplements and minerals doesn't mean that necessarily that your body is going to absorb it. So it's something that you guys can look up in your free time. I'm just going to go over it really quickly. So for vitamin A, what we can eat are some really, really common things like carrots, spinach, kale, apricots, even sweet potato, squash, cantaloupe. Most of the things we can find in the supermarket. Next one is the really popular vitamin C. Vitamin C is useful because it has many functions, such as white blood cell production, which we use to fight off the infections. It actually creates reactive oxygen species. So this thing is, some people say, oh, you need to take antioxidants, right? Antioxidants are useful, but at the same time, our body uses these ROS, or this reactive oxygen species, to actually fight off bacteria. Yeah, so in certain cases, they're actually useful. And lastly, vitamin C can also help our body produce more antibodies. And all of these things together are useful in fighting infection. Vitamin C is really common. You can find it in grapefruits, oranges, tangerines, sweet red pepper, broccoli, strawberries, kale, kiwi fruit. Basically anything that's tangy will have vitamin C, but even in veggies you can find vitamin C. Okay, the next one is vitamin E. So vitamin E is actually another fat-soluble vitamin, and it's really useful in supporting our immune system function. So some common sources of vitamin E are nuts, seeds, avocado, and spinach. The next vitamin that we're going to talk about is vitamin D. So I know some people have been talking about it in the mainstream media about vitamin D being really important in COVID-19 patients. So what you can do is actually, what vitamin D actually does is to help us maintain our immune function, but also regulates the body's immune response. So either to make it stronger or make it weaker. Some common sources of vitamin D are salmon, canned tuna, egg yolks, and yogurt. Our body can also absorb sunlight and produce vitamin D just by spending 15 minutes under the sun. It's not too hard. You can go out early in the morning if you're afraid of the UV rays, or late in the afternoon, but at least as long as we get some sunlight, then our bodies are able to produce vitamin D naturally. Okay, next one is not actually a vitamin or mineral, but it's actually it's a vegetable which we all know, which is garlic. And garlic overall is a very useful vegetable because it contains lots of different phytochemicals, which are chemicals that you find in plants that fight off germs in many ways. And the other thing is that it can actually increase the production of virus-fighting T cells, and it can reduce the amount of stress that our body produces. So just pop a few chunks of garlic into your meal, and just crush it, and then just put it in the stir fry, or some people even eat it raw. Put it in your blender. It's lots of ways to eat garlic. Okay, the next one is vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 is really important in creating new blood cells, red blood cells, and also helps us in maintaining the lymphatic system, which is basically how our body helps to fight off the invaders. So some simple sources are chicken, turkey, cold water fish like salmon and tuna. We even have things like chickpeas, the thing that you use to make hummus, and bananas. Okay. The next mineral that we look at is zinc. So zinc has also been featured in a lot of talks about COVID-19 in patients that don't already have zinc or deficiency of zinc in the diet. So it's important to eat zinc because we don't have it naturally. We cannot synthesize it in our bodies. So the only source of zinc is from our food, right? So we actually need zinc to stimulate our immune system function. So the best source is for oysters and shellfish, like crab, clams, lobster, or mussels. But for people who are allergic to seafood or crustaceans, then you can also try poultry like chicken or turkey. Red meat and beans also have zinc. The last one that we look at is healthy fats. So healthy fats like omega-3 and 6 fatty acids are used by our body's immune system. And they have many functions, including building the new cell membranes, which is if you think about it like a house, a cell membrane is the wall outside the house to protect the immune system cells, right? And omega-3 and 6 fatty acids also have different functions like reducing inflammation and also boosting the immune cell function. So the easiest ways to get our healthy fats are through like butter, organic grass-fed meats, salmon, extra virgin coconut oil and olive oil, cold pressed seed oils. So really important to avoid some of these cheaper, lower quality oils like rapeseed, canola, sunflower. All of these oils are actually they're quite fragile when you add heat, and they can break down quickly and create compounds that are not healthy for our body to take in. Okay, so what we want to do is to actually give our body all these useful minerals and vitamins, right? But for some of us, it may be harder to prepare a meal or eat healthy on the go. So one of the supplement, one of the drinks that I actually recommend to my customers is something called Soplus. So Soplus is actually a drink that's made of cold pressed seed oils. It's made in the USA, and it's a source of really important ingredients that can boost your immune system. A lot of them I've talked about previously in the last 2 slides, but we'll go over them really quickly. So Soplus is actually made of 4 different seeds that are cold pressed, meaning there's no additives, there's no preservatives, like black cumin seeds, black raspberry seeds, red grape seeds, and cranberry seeds. So all of these ingredients are high in nutrients because they're seeds. They also they have to supply the plant with the energy that it needs to grow up, but it also needs to give the plant that's growing a chance to fight off any infections or anything that's negative. So seeds actually contain a lot of positive compounds, a lot of positive ingredients. One more ingredient of Soplus is actually D-ribose. So that one is not a seed, but it's a sugar that's not like sugar. It's a sugar that our body needs to be healthy. It's used in production of new DNA, but it's also used in the production of heart health. Like your heart actually needs D-ribose to actually be healthier. So some of the nutrients that you can find in Soplus, I'll go over them really quickly, is omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. So really important is to have the correct proportion of the correct proportion of omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. If you have too much of one, then it can actually be not so positive. So in Soplus, the ratio is 1 to 2, if I'm not mistaken. You also have a lot of vitamins, A, D, E, C, B1, B2, B3, B5, and B6. So I've listed these in the useful minerals and vitamins. You also even have things like calcium, iron, zinc, and selenium, which our body cannot create by itself. So we need it from a food source. And not just that, but we also have anthocyanins, resveratrol, salicylic acid, nigellone, thymoquinone, and fiber. So I'm sure some of you haven't heard of these terms before. What you can do is I don't have time to go over each one, but feel free to Google benefits of each of these. These are very, very useful ingredients to keep our body healthy. Okay, I have written on my board. Let me just clear that. Okay, so what benefits can we actually have from Soplus? So, sorry. Okay. So what are some benefits that we have from taking Soplus? So in terms of immune system, it helps our body out a lot. We can reduce inflammation, right? Inflammation is something that happens when our body is under attack, and our body is trying to basically send out signals to attack the invaders. So in small amounts, inflammation is okay, but after a while, it's actually negative. So Soplus can actually reduce it naturally, right? The other thing is Soplus can actually help kill pain naturally through salicylic acid. And obviously, it will support your immune system. There's actually a patent in the US where black cumin seed has actually can support our immune system and increase it. And this is a patent, meaning that someone actually wrote out exactly how this supports our immune system. So very interesting. I recommend you look at it if you have time. And the last one is Soplus actually helps our heart health. So if we're under attack from COVID-19, what we want to know is that our heart is in good condition, that we can actually reduce the issues coming from the infection. The last one that I didn't add is that Soplus actually is a blood thinner, a natural blood thinner, which actually overcomes some of the issues with COVID-19 that that include blood clotting. So blood clotting is one of the symptoms of COVID-19, which can actually lead to a lot of death. So by drinking Surplus, hopefully we can reduce, the exposure to these blood clots. Okay, that's my talk. Hopefully everyone got some positive information from today's talk. I'll pass it back to Luke. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Halid, for the very informative talk. But I would like to continue where I've left off earlier with regard to vaccine. You probably heard from the news that there are probably 30 mutations of vaccine. No, 30 mutations of coronavirus. Now, if scientists may find one vaccine, but they find that it doesn't work for another mutation. So this is a problem. So there's no other way out for you all, but except to boost your immune system, protect yourself. There's no other way. So you protect yourself by taking virus, because the COVID-19 is not going to go off, judging by what we heard in the past. With SARS, with MERS, with the Spanish flu. So better prepare yourself for second or third wave. How do you protect yourself from the second or third wave? Protect your body. If your body is protected, you have no fear of second or third wave. So with that, I will now get testimonial. We'd like to see anybody on the floor want to give testimonial on Surplus, on the. Can we ask for people to give testimonial on the floor?
Halim, are you there, Halim?
Hello, yes?
What about Kairu?
Yeah, he was on just now, but he went offline. I'll call him. I'll check back. Hang on.